The first thing they told us when we set foot on Vayara was simple. Don't talk to her. I didn't know who she was. None of us did, not really. The Vayarans were an ancient species, their cities rising out of the obsidian cliffs like living sculptures. Their capital world was a jewel of black stone and rivers of silver light, threaded together by great skybridges that shimmered under two suns. Humanity had only recently made contact with them, and already there were whispers among the officers, the scientists, and the cultural attaches about their leader, a queen cloaked in power and silence. Her name was Scifi, but she was rarely seen. Those who had glimpsed her said her presence was unsettling. Not frightening exactly. More like standing too close to something vast and dangerous like the edge of a black hole. The Vayarans revered her, yet there was unease even among her own people. I didn't expect to meet her, let alone sit beside her. I was just a mid-level communications officer, sent along as part of the human delegation to establish trade and cultural exchange. My job was translating small nuances, smoothing over misinterpretations. Nothing glamorous. On our second day, we were escorted into a towering amphitheater, its walls carved with glowing glyphs that pulsed like veins of starlight. Rows of Vayrans filled the seats, tall, graceful beings with obsidian-toned skin and eyes like molten silver. At the far end of the chamber sat a raised dais. Me. Our ambassador, a polished man named Arlendovic, whispered to us, "If she comes, keep your head low. Do not address her. Do not meet her gaze. She does not speak to outsiders." That was the warning, don't talk to her. But when the chamber doors opened and she entered, everything changed. The alien queen was unlike the others. Taller, her features sharper, her silver eyes brighter than the rest. She wore no crown, no jewels, only a robe of living fabric that shifted like liquid midnight. And though she moved with quiet grace, the air itself seemed to bend around her. She sat on the dais. The chamber quieted. The Veyran Council began their dialogue with our ambassador, their words formal and cautious. I translated small notes for the human delegation, my voice low, my presence barely noticed. But then, during a recess in the talks, she moved. Without a sound, she descended from the dais and walked across the chamber. My heart pounded. Every Veyran I followed her. Even the humans stiffened. She stopped beside me. And then she sat down. Right there, in the empty space beside my chair. The alien queen lowered herself gracefully and folded her hands in her lap. The chamber held its breath. I didn't look directly at her. I remembered the warning. My throat was dry, my palms damp against my datapad. Why me? Why here? She didn't look at anyone else. She just sat, her presence heavy as a storm waiting to break. That was the first time I realized the warnings weren't for her benefit. They were for ours. Middle. Conversations in silence. For the next hour she didn't move. She didn't speak. The council resumed its talks as if nothing had changed, though their voices trembled. I tried to focus on my work, but my awareness of her was constant. Every breath I took seemed louder, every movement sharper. At one point, I felt her gaze brush over me. My chest tightened. I remembered the warning again. Don't talk to her. But something strange stirred inside me. A whisper, not in words but in sensation, like the echo of thought that wasn't mine. You're not afraid. The voice wasn't audible. It resonated deep inside my mind, soft and probing. Froze. I didn't answer. Couldn't. They fear me. You hesitate. My pulse thundered. Against my better judgment, I let the smallest fragment of thought slip back toward her. You can hear me? And in that instant, her silver eyes turned to meet mine. The world around us dimmed. The council's voices grew distant, muffled, as though we were suspended outside of time. Yes, she answered. You are different from the others. They silence themselves before me. You do not. I wanted to say something, anything, but words failed. Her gaze softened. Do not be alarmed. I will not harm you. But I needed to know if one of your kind could listen without trembling. I swallowed hard. My mind was a storm of questions, but I forced myself to think clearly. Why me? Her lips curved. Not quite a smile, more like the shadow of one. Because you sit quietly. You watch. You do not crave to be heard. When the recess ended, she rose and returned to her dais, leaving me shaking, uncertain if anyone else had noticed. No one dared comment. Talks resumed. But from that moment on, I knew the warning had been broken. I had spoken to her or something like it. That night, in the guest quarters assigned to us, I couldn't sleep. The city outside glowed under twin moons, silver rivers winding like veins of light. Yet all I could think about was her presence, the weight of her voice inside my head. And then, as if summoned by thought alone, she appeared again. Not physically, but within my mind. You wonder why they said not to speak to me. I sat up in bed, my hands gripping the sheets. Because my voice unsettles. Bends. Touches too deeply. They fear what I might awaken within you. I hesitated. What do you awaken? Oz. Then softly, truth. Her voice carried with it 1,000 hidden echoes. Grief, loneliness, endless patience. For a moment, I glimpsed what it meant to rule as she did. Every mind turned toward her, every thought weighed, every silence heavy with expectation. You carry burdens, I whispered. As do you, she answered. All who speak for others do. From that night onward she came often. Not always beside me in the chamber, but in the quiet moments. Walking the silver-lit streets, sitting in council shadows, even entering my thoughts when I was alone. We never spoke aloud. Always in silence. Always with words unspoken yet understood. And with each conversation I realized something. She was lonely. The alien queen who commanded an empire of stars was profoundly, unbearably alone. Conflict. The hidden war. On the 6th day I learned why. The council chamber was tense. Negotiations had stalled. The Veyrans resisted every offer of alliance, every attempt at trade. Ambassador Dovik grew frustrated, his polished composure cracking. Then a messenger entered, a Veyran guard with a face pale as stone. He whispered to the council, and though the words were in their tongue, I caught enough to understand. Raiders. The council stiffened. Some shouted in protest, others in fear. I leaned toward one of the human aides. What's happening? He frowned. Something about the outer reaches. Attacks. The chamber dissolved into chaos. And then silence. The queen had risen. She descended the dais once more, her silver eyes burning. The council parted before her like waves retreating from shore. She spoke, her first audible words since we arrived, in a voice that rang like metal and thunder. Our enemies rise, she said, and you bicker while the stars burn. The council bowed their heads. None dared oppose her. Later, in the privacy of my quarters, her voice found me again. The raiders come from the rift. They are not only our enemy, they will be yours as well. Yet the council hesitates, blinded by fear. I asked the question that had haunted me for days. Why don't you simply command them?